Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO in the flow. And today I get to interview a talented musician, which is so awesome that we all get to be here and connect in the ways that we are globally. And today I get to connect with Ben Roberts, who's a cellist, and he also plays the electric cello. And he is based out of the UK. And Ben's boundary defined music rips up the rule book by challenging conventional compositional techniques in favor of raw textures and rich emotional expression. I love that. And by the way, if you are live right now, we always encourage you to, just have a comment. You can share with anyone you'd like. We are on a variety of different platforms right now. So sharing is caring. You can also ask a question. And then if anything, for those hungry algorithms, if you just even commented with an emoji, it'll help this interview float to the top on socials. And if anyone wants to check out my music, dtomusic.com. And I currently am located underneath our yoga shala at Embody, Costa Rica. Some of you have been here. It's a beautiful, gorgeous place. Here's an image of the retreat center. And this picture, I'm actually underneath in the middle section there. That's right. It's an underground podcast today. All right. Without further ado, let me bring on Ben. How are you, brother?
Hey, just like that, magic.
There you go. Boom.
I'm doing well today, thank you. Yeah.
Amazing. So I want to share your website here right away for anyone that would like to know how to find Ben, bencello.com. And this is a 5Q interview. So we're going to do 5 rapid fire questions. And the first one is origin story. Everyone wants to know, for all musicians, how did it all begin? So you're this little boy growing up in the UK. So number 1, when did you fall in love with music?
Well, a beautiful question. And the honest answer is it's an ongoing process, isn't it? You keep falling in love with music in different ways all the time. But I think I could pinpoint a moment when so I started learning the cello when I was 7, and it kind of just came to me. My music teacher at school was a cellist, and so she started teaching cello, and it took me a few years of just kind of playing until I remember a particular moment of playing a piece of music and just really feeling like, hey, like I actually quite liked that. That actually sounded really good. Like I just made music. So I really remember that actually like connecting. I don't know, it must have been like 9 or 10 years old or something. But it was definitely it was through playing that I fell in love with the music.
Here's a beautiful image of the evolution. I love that picture. It's so cool. Amazing. Okay, so then you received these frequencies, energies, maybe you're out on a walkabout, you heard music in the park, you heard it at a grocery store. Did your family play music in the home?
Yeah, my dad sang in a choir, and so I was aware of quite a lot of choral and orchestral music. I think he subscribed to like a music magazine, and they would get tapes, and so, but it was all classical stuff, So there was a lot of classical music and a little bit of classic rock, but that was rare. So yeah, there was quite a bit of classical music at home.
That's great. Same for me. My mom played a lot of classical music. There was some contemporary music as well, but yeah, the classics. Right? I was doing all the piano scales growing up, and you were playing the cello. So super fun. So then at some point, you probably either had an aha moment, or maybe it was like a gradual ascension into this process where you, besides listening to other people's music, you actually got inspired to write your own music. So how did that process happen? And was there a moment, or did all of a sudden you started like noodling around on the cello and you're like, ooh, that sounded cool, I'm gonna do that?
Yeah. Again, yeah, obviously it's a gradual process that's still evolving now. Um, I think the first time I actually wrote my own music wasn't on the cello, it was with a guitar, and I was writing a song, like as a teenager. I think that was how I got into writing my own music. And it took me a few years to start integrating. In a way, I had these like two quite separate worlds of like playing guitar and singing with my friends, and then playing the cello. It seemed like a slightly separate endeavor somehow. So it took me a while to start integrating my cello work into that. And on the cello, I didn't really start writing my own music until a few years ago. I must have been in like mid-30s when I started to actually create my own pieces of music based around the cello. And so in a way, that's actually a relatively recent evolution in my writing. I've really centered myself more around collaborating with other people and contributing to other people's projects, which to a certain degree involves writing, because I'm kind of creating a string part or a cello part that's going to go with somebody else's music. But to come at it from scratch is a really different mindset and a whole different part of the soul, I think. So yeah, more recent evolution.
Absolutely. Well, speaking about collaboration, would love to let everyone see the visual that is for our collaborative amazing track that I am so grateful we got to work together on, called Legacy of Light. And I love these images. Actually, my friend JQ, I was just on a call with him today. He took this image of me where I'm at. Once upon a time when I actually first started to create and produce music. So I love that it's called Legacy of Light, because for me, that was like the beginning stage. And I love how the contrast, right, of the light and the dark, which we have in our world. And I love this creative endeavor, which leads us into, speaking of creativity, question number 3, which is, tell us about your creative process.
I kind of wish I had like a really succinct answer for this. I've been in such a flowy state for many years now. I don't necessarily have a strict discipline around how I create, although I think that might be starting to come back. But really, if anything, my process is around trying to clear space, internal space, as much as possible before sitting down and allowing something to come through. And I find that there's not even a clear condition through which the creative process happens. It can be sometimes when I'm actually in a more contracted energy. It can be that the music helps me to move through something that I'm struggling with internally. But also often comes from actually feeling lighter. If I'm feeling in a good place, then I'll sit down and things will come through more easily. I do benefit from having somebody else kind of providing a little bit of structure for me. I've just made my second album, which will be coming out this year, and that the process around that was book a studio and then have some parameters like, well, I've got studio time, I've got to go in and then I've got until the end of the day to come up with something. And that kind of having those parameters was really good. But honestly, the process for that was like I went in with nothing and just improvised, and just because I really wanted to capture the essence of just what comes out in the moment. So that one, it was just improvisation, which I worked with a producer and we took bits of what I'd improvised, cut and paste them around, and then it kind of fed into tracks and an album. and we kind of built around that. Yeah.
Amazing. And just go for it. Like, create the space to be creative. That alone is a creative process. Just even put time aside. How many people are on their human journey where they're just going and going in a to-do list, and they're stressed and they're worried and got to keep up with the Joneses and got to make the bills, got to pay the rent. And, of course we all have to do that, all of us, but doing it at an excessive level where you're working for someone else and you're never actually stopping and saying, oh, I can smell the roses, and I can just say, what is my artistic expression? And then the next step, what you shared, is like, book that studio time and get in there and be in that flow state and see what comes about, which is a great segue to share what we created. So here's a snippet of Legacy of Light. Very short snippet. As a teaser of all teasers. Just hear a little, and we're encouraging everyone to go and check us out on all the platforms, whichever one is your favorite. You can hear the very beginning. There's a nice beat to it. Also, it's interesting for copyrights and licensing. Sometimes if I or you, who you and I are, 50-50 owners of this piece, sometimes if you play the whole song, they'll like flag you. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is my own content. Or, I don't know if you've had that happen. So I just did a little snippet there. Okay, so let's jump into question number 4, which is, so once you perform live, you record, of course, you're going in to record another album, and people listen to your music. What are some common themes or responses that people share with you, with your music?
Yeah, so humbling. I'm so blessed with some incredible responses to when I play. So when I perform, I'm often improvising, and actually my partner and I have developed a whole new sort of construct of how we deliver music at the moment. So we're doing these regular events called Sonic Ritual, where we bring real intention to this sense of improvisation, because it's become apparent to me that really improvising is about the musician listening to the energy in the room, tuning into the energy that everybody is bringing into that space in that moment in time, and channeling that through the music. So what we're doing currently with these sonic rituals is we bring people into the space and we have a circle and we share what energy are you in, and then I go on a sort of 45-50 minute journey of improvisation from that energy. And then we have a little sharing circle at the end to see kind of what the experience was like. And it's really so mind-blowing to hear what people's journey is, and how they respond. And it's different people that are affected in different ways. And some people are more cerebral and they're interested in talking about the concepts. But a lot of people have really quite somatic experiences. Like you, I made an album of music based on chakras, and people really feel that. They feel the different connections to whether it's the heart center or sacral chakra, or ascending up into the gods. Yeah, I get lots of amazing feedback about the experiences that people have, really feeling themselves open up, really connecting to their own vibration, and that, to me, is what it's all about. It's kind of why I do music.
I love that. And I want to share with everyone this event, Sonic Ritual, that anyone that goes to Ben_cello, you can find information on Instagram. So this is great. And an alchemical musical experience with live cello. Yes, yes. Amazing.
That's the one.
Okay. So when you are in this creative process, what a lot of people don't understand, I feel, that are artists, musicians, is it's not only about the auditory experience, we get to have the visual. So here's an incredible visual of you from your website. And there's so many hats that we get to wear, and it's incredible, right? Like, in the old days, you'd get signed by a label, you go in the studio, record an album, you go on tour. Then you come home, you rest, you go back in the studio, you get your earnings. Nowadays, pretty much most artists are independent like us. And, of course, I'm sure you've had some songs, placed in different ways where there's more attention that you can get to your music. But really, it's really like we're building our own websites, we're creating our own content on Instagram. And so what I really want to encourage people to do is just really support artists that are being called from within to share and just have this experience where people can know that there's just all facets of the corner of the earth that have artists like Ben and myself, that even though we haven't even met in person, but here we got to create this song. And I know most people have a visual of like, oh, you probably were both in the studio, did a late night session, hung out, had like a late night snack and talked about the meaning of life. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, actually we got to work in our own space. And then we got to come together. And here I'm in Costa Rica, and you're in the UK. And so there's different ways that we all connect. So I just want to encourage people as well that are wanting to be creative, that you can still do a lot out there, even remotely. So here's this album, and you can see some incredible testimonials. And here's a way you can access Ben and the electric cello. It looks amazing. Okay, so let's jump into our last question, which is any closing words, advice, or wisdom you'd like to share with people today?
No pressure, huh? I think so many people sort of say, I think when I talk to people about playing music, a lot of people say, "Oh no, I'm not musical, and I don't play," and I think it's fine. I probably do that about other things too, but we're all musical, and I think it's so important to remember that, like, it's called playing for a reason. And so I always just encourage people to just make a sound. And really, more than creating the sound, listening is actually like 0.0, that's the starting point. If you can listen to music, then you don't need to do anything else, really. And so this is why I'm so passionate about improvisation, and with collaboration too, with working with other people. It feels daunting and it feels really scary. So yeah, just do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, anything's possible. As you can see what Ben's created, and amazing photo shoots, and just having a presence of choice, right? We all get to choose how we lead our lives in many ways, and just setting that time aside. I mean, the way that Ben and I became proficient with these instruments was just practice, 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 and play, right? Like Alan Watts, the English philosopher, said, you don't work music, you play music, right?
Yeah.
It's a dance, and you're in that joy and that flow state. And the more that you can be in that, then you realize like, ooh, I can experiment like in a laboratory and play around with this sound. And nowadays with electronic sounds, it's pretty incredible what you can produce and create out there. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you, Ben. And anyone out there that got to watch this live or on the archive, you can check out Legacy of Light, which is streaming on all platforms. And we appreciate you adding us to your playlists, for sharing in any creative way possible. If you're interested in licensing the song, feel free to reach out to us directly through our Instagram accounts or through our websites. And as I mentioned earlier, you can go to bencello.com and you can find me any place in the digital world at DTO Music. So really, really important here. And someone just commented in, Laura, love the concept of play. Absolutely. Well, keep on enjoying your day. Appreciate you. And let's keep on playing, keep on enjoying our self-expression and creativity in the world. All right, thanks.
Thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cheers.